Tom Downey here for more NFL draft coverage on Chat Sports. We're breaking down ESPN's Matt Miller's 2026 NFL mock draft. Before we get into it, the draft order is based on ESPN's FPI. So yes, you could complain because I did not do the draft order here. Of note, Arch Manning not included, projected to go back to school on that front. As we'll get into, there are some interesting picks in this mock draft, one of which that, I'll be honest, was just stupid. Before we get into it, if you want even more NFL draft videos, like this one for me. More likes equals more views, and it means I can show the bosses you do want more NFL draft coverage. So help me out, please, and thank you by liking today's video. The Browns have the number 1 pick. They do not take the local kid in Drew Aller. Instead, they take Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. He's not the most physically imposing player, but I have liked how Klubnik has gotten better each and every single season. Clemson should be very good this year. He does have a chance to try to push and potentially be that number 1 quarterback off the board. Number 2, Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle out of Miami. Again, I think he's gotten better for the most part over the course of his season. His brother is with the Jets. That'd be kind of funny that they both get to end up going in New York. In theory, you just plug him in on the right side of the offensive line. Andrew Thomas is great when healthy, but the right side's been a bit of a cluster there. TJ Parker, number 3 to the Tennessee Titans. I'm not opposed to it. I do think additional edges is probably a good focal point for Tennessee. They obviously took one this past season. Again, 2 Clemson players in the top 3, and there's going to be another one in the top 6. This is I think Parker, along with his teammate Peter Woods, does have a chance to be the first defensive player taken. I am a huge fan of Anthony Hill. I love everything he does as an off-ball linebacker. Miller's pushing him as Micah Parsons treatment, play him at edge. If that's how you're going to do it, okay, that's kind of the only way I think you can justify taking an off-ball linebacker in the top 5, especially for a Jets team that, you know, obviously one of them's going to be a free agent in Quincy Williams, but they just paid Jamie Sherwood. I don't want to chase the Micah Parsons stuff. I do think, though, as an off-ball linebacker, he's the best one in the class. It's just for the Jets, if you're not going to make him an edge, is a little bit rich, and that's also a position change at 4 is very dangerous. I love Caleb Downs. This is my number 1 player, which is also what Matt Miller has, but he's a safety. So honestly, I think Hill and Downs are 2 of the best players in all of college football. How early do you draft those quote-unquote non-premium positions? Are the Saints the type of team that can justify a non-premium spot? Also, if both those teams are drafting top 5, do they have to take a quarterback? We'll see. Peter Woods, number 6 out of Clemson. I'm a little bit confused by this one, frankly, because the argument is, you have to get Derek Brown some help at defensive tackle. Well, then why'd you sign Tashawn Wharton and Bobby Brown to decently sized contracts? But they weren't the same level as what the Patriots gave out there. I think Peter Woods is awesome. I know, producer Chris, you're a huge fan of his game. He has a chance to be, I think, again, with all these guys, top defensive player taken. It is ACC heavy in the top 7. How about that? 5 of the first 7 picks are all out of the ACC. Rueben Bain didn't have the best season last year, but the year before that, extremely impressive. Battled maybe some bumps and bruises this past year. I think he could have a big-time breakout campaign and earn this top 10 buzz. There's some projection here. There's projection for all these picks. It's summer scouting after all, but I think Bain's got big-time impactability. Jordyn Tyson out of Arizona State. I don't know who ends up being the first wide receiver taken. I don't mind Jordyn Tyson being that option there. Had he played in the college football playoff, against Texas, I think we'd be talking more about him. Adding a playmaker for Drake May, I get that. All right, the Rams at number 9, not going quarterback. This pick, by the way, from the Falcons as part of that trade, which would look really bad for Atlanta to trade a top 10 pick. Oof. Kadyn Proctor, which I think potentially is your long-term left tackle for Alabama. The power, physicality, athletic ability combination is wildly impressive, but the inconsistencies do have to be sorted out. All right, one of 2 Utah offensive tackles, Spencer Fano here. I would assume you plug him in at right tackle in this scenario with Abe Lucas not really being able to stay healthy. Addressing a still kind of shaky offensive line does make sense for Utah, or for Seattle with the Utah product. Number 11, Garrett Nussmeier, the son of Saints offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier. He does remind me of Tony Romo, the good and the bad. There's some really good high-level regular quarterback stuff, and then just bro, why'd you make that throw? What are you seeing or not seeing out there? In the same way that Romo had some of those moments too, some of the gunslinger nature. The physical traits also aren't over the top wowie the same way some of the other quarterbacks we'll get to in this year's class have. Who will be the first quarterback drafted? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. The other Utah tackle, Caleb Lomu, so maybe you get right or left tackle, you get help for your franchise quarterback. You took it in Cade Klubnik earlier. There will be disagreements as to which Utah tackle is better, which, from an NFL draft perspective, first time that's been said? Who's to say? Number 13's pick here, the Dallas Cowboys taking Keldrick Falk, I remember I mentioned earlier was something just stupid. I think Falk is actually a great fit for the Cowboys with his play style. He's a big guy. He's almost that 5 technique, Cam Hayward build. Fits really well alongside Micah Parsons. But the argument here from Matt Miller was, quote, Dallas needs more on the edge after passing on the position in the 2025 draft. Which is just wrong. They took Donovan Ezeraku in round 2. In fact, Matt Miller ranked that as one of his top 15 favorite picks in the draft. How did we get that wrong? Everyone's going to make mistakes. You can always troll me in the comments when I make mistakes. It's fine. How do we just you got one job, dude. The draft. How do you make that mistake? I think this is about the right range for Falk. I think he's a good fit with Micah. But they've taken a round 2 pick in Sam Williams, who's going to be a free agent. Marshawn Nealand and Ezeraku in back-to-back years. What are we doing? Antonio Williams out of Clemson. Not necessarily the biggest guy. My issue here is if I'm Arizona, I actually don't want another outside-inside guy at wide receiver. I actually want a pure X. And I think Williams is kind of more of the inside-outside piece. I don't want to keep forcing Marvin Harrison into the sacrificial X receiver role where he's not getting maximized. If you want to take a receiver, I'm going big guy, not small guy, even though I think that the value is reasonable here. Every single mock draft is going to have a corner going to the Dolphins. That's obvious even before the Jalen Ramsey trade. We'll see when he's fully healthy. Is coming off the torn ACL, but talent-wise, there's not much to doubt on that front. Number 16, Lenore Sellers. This is shades of Cam Newton, shades of Anthony Richardson, for good and for bad. He just runs over dudes, which is really impressive. He's got arms talent. He's got mobility. He's got traits. The down-in, down-out consistency, which NFL teams crave desperately at the quarterback spot, is not there yet. He's kind of the potential breakout projection. If he takes a step forward, we're talking number 1 pick. If he doesn't, does he even turn pro at that point? So it's the potential that intrigues teams with Lenoris Sellers. Special NFL deal for you guys. These number shirts, the jerseys, the shirt jerseys, whatever you want to call them. They were, $40 or more, $39 or more on Fanatics. They're now $10. Not every player, not every team, but it's an incredible deal. Even if you're not a big shirt jersey guy, it's hard to find anything NFL officially licensed for $10. It doesn't happen. It's a no-brainer. So go get yours today at chatsports.com/NFL shirt. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Number 17, Jeremiah Love, who is just explosive as all get out. I think he's the consensus number 1 back in the class. This is going to be a popular mock draft spot, him or the Cowboys in all of these. Tim Keenan, your boy, producer Chris, out of Minnesota. I am a little bit intrigued by the fit for the Vikings. Not because, I don't think Keenan's a bad player or anything, but they did also go ahead and sign Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave and draft Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. So I kind of questioned the addition there. But he's a nose guard at his size at 320-something. He could be a good Harrison Phillips replacement. Back-to-back Bama players, LT Overton, who I think fit kind of well. I think a 5-tech is going to be his best fit in the NFL. We can do, again, I always think of Cam Hayward when I think of 5-techs. He's not quite the same build, not the same level of expectation there either, but is a pretty natural scheme fit for Green Bay. Denver takes Eli Stowers. He's super fun. He was very productive for Vanderbilt. He could have gone pro and been one of the first tight ends taken in a pretty good class, but he's skinny. His listed size is 6'4", 225. There are receivers that are that big. Like, we're not going to have the Nick Harbor conversation, but whatever. He's got to bulk up, or else this is going to be, he's too skinny to hold up at tight end, even in that joker role that Sean Payton loves. Austin Barber out of Florida to the Texans. I kind of wonder, I get it. Offensive line help makes sense. I think that the best Florida player was actually not taken in this ESPN mock draft, but at some point, like, how do you juggle Blake Fisher and Ariante Ursary, and maybe we'll see if they bring back Cam Robinson and Titus Howard, who can all play some tackle. Like, if it's the best offensive lineman strategy, I do get that for Houston, though, because you got to protect C.J. Stroud. We've got year-round NFL coverage here on the channel, so don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Patrick Payton out of LSU. He did transfer from Florida State. He was not good last year. So for me, this is a little bit rich on the projection side, but if he can recapture some of that, 2023, early 2022 freshman year for him, he could certainly jump back into round one. He's got the size for it. I like this projection pick here. Isaiah World out of Oregon, the Nevada transfer. I am excited to see how he fares against much better competition, but the traits and size combination is certainly worth having that conversation here. Avion Terrell out of Clemson. That is, by the way, A.J. Terrell's younger brother. Bengals have young corners, Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, Dax Hill. Contractual long-term statuses are uncertain, so I do think this is a good fit range for the Bengals. A.J. Harris to the Commanders. We'll see what happens with Marshawn Lattimore. They did draft Trey Amos in round 2 last year. But Harris is, listed at 6'1", 190, and he's got some traits, as all these Penn State guys seem to have here. The Chargers go linebacker, the first and only Georgia player in this mock draft, C.J. Allen. I am a huge fan of Dan Henley. They also have that Junior Colson. I don't know if they're going to punt on that combination so soon, but I think Allen is a viable round 1 mock draft pick. The Rams at 27 take Drew Aller. He got better last year. I do want to emphasize that he took a step forward. It is reasonable to think he can take another step forward in 2025. The size and arm strength is incredible. The consistency, some of the I need to see third down plays from Drew Aller. If he's not making plays on third down, it's not going to work in the NFL because you have to do that stuff in college. I don't want him to be Christian Hackenberg. I want him to be better than that. Another step forward, make some big plays against the best opponents, and don't be a guy that has the knock on him, fair or not, of shrinking in the big lights. 27 might be way too late. Could be the Rams' first-round pick or number 1 overall. That's the potential for Aller. But with all these QBs, you're banking on growth and progression. There is no Andrew Luck in this class, which, by the way, we could very much have a 2027 mock draft of it's just Arch Manning, Andrew Luck all over again, which I think is actually kind of a decent comp, by the way. How many quarterbacks go in round 1? Let me know in the comments of today's show. 4 were in this mock draft. In the real draft, how many go? D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana. He's a slot corner, though. He's 5'9", 170. I actually kind of question the fit of the Ravens adding a slot corner in D'Angelo Pons. I get that, we'll see what the long-term outlook for Jair Alexander on these guys are, but Marlon Humphrey's been playing nickel. They can rotate Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton down there. I'd go outside corner before I go nickel, despite the fact that I think Pons is a super fun player. Tyreek Sapp out of Florida. Edge for the Lions is going to be a very popular mock draft pick as well. Good size. Kind of got that unique build at 6'3", 272. I like Dylan Thiedemann a lot. The pick here for the Chiefs out of Oregon. The Purdue transfer. Number 2 safety for me in the class, and I'm quite high on him. Another receiver for Philadelphia, they do tend to go the premium positions in most classes. He's got really good size. I think he's 6'4", 210 is the listed size there. This was kind of a value pick argument from Matt Miller. And then another Florida player, Jake Slaughter. I don't know if center in round 1 is that likely if the Bills want to go down that path, but if you want to just take offensive line, I'm not going to argue that too much when you're trying to protect your franchise, because I think they're pretty good up front overall. Who did Matt Miller leave out of his 2026 NFL mock draft? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Then I'll mention some names for you here next. A lot of people are fans of Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. He's one of the top QBs not in there. A couple receivers. Kind of a weird class overall. Like, how good is Eric Singleton out of Auburn? Transfer from Georgia Tech, by the way. Carnell Tate. Armaj Reed Adams is maybe the top guard in this year's class. I think Caleb Banks is awesome. I am a big fan of his game. I think he should be viewed as one of the, if not the top, one of the top Florida prospects. He's got juice. Christian Miller should not be slept on. I like Malik Muhammad, but he might be more of like a day 2 guy in the end. Projection, Mateo Uiagalelei, that's DJU's younger, not little though, he's huge, brother. Hasn't put it all together yet, but that guy's got traits and ability for days.